Our next guest, the next honoree, is Mark Howard, who is an expert in volatility of all sorts, which comes in handy, especially at a time like this, although it's not really showing up, certainly in fixed income volatility, but I digress. There have been all sorts of volatility regimes over the past 39 years, and Mark has been studying almost every asset class throughout it all as an equity analyst, credit researcher, bank analyst, and more. Of course, fixed income is the most important because that is what makes the world go round, obviously, and I'm not speaking to a biased crowd. He discovered his love of numbers and logic from playing board games with his grandmother. He learned forward vision as a hockey player, skate to the puck, not where it is currently. Mark is currently a multi-asset strategist at BNP Paribas, and previously headed global research at Barclays. He spent almost 20 years at Lehman Brothers as a senior global strategist, has been recognized numerous times by the institutional investor, sits on tons of boards, as every single honoree seems to do this, which is just mind-boggling. Where do you guys find all the time? He sits on the board at the Friends of the Institut des Hautes Études Scientifiques and the Maine Community Foundation. A former multi-year president of FIASI, I'd like to present Mark Howard. Mark.
Je ne sais quoi. C'est incroyable. Well, thank you, Lisa, for that most gracious of introductions. I've always appreciated your journalistic rigor and distinctive wit, and tonight is no exception. And thanks to all of you for honoring us with your presence at tonight's celebration. It is truly heartwarming to see so many familiar faces. I'd like to start by acknowledging the care and vetting done by the Hall of Fame nominating committee and the trust and support shown by the FIASI Board of Directors for this most special recognition. That board was led by Aaron Lyons and then Jess Broughton most recently over the last year and supported by FIASI's longtime executive director, Lauren Nauser. Special shout out to my wife Marion and children Millie and Jack, as well as our special friends and colleagues at my table. Your presence makes tonight especially memorable for me. In the event brochure, I placed a half-page advert that refers to the bosses, colleagues, clients, vendors, professors, coaches, friends, and family members who took some pretty raw material and molded it to become a very long-tenured sell-side analyst and prognosticator. It has been the combination of my curiosity to analyze and predict outcomes with my desire to assist clients that's fueled a very long and satisfying career in the street. I truly love that every day is new, it's different, it's confounding, it's demanding, and it's because of this my work is almost always fun, so I love to come to work because it's always fun. But only part of my good fortune came from nature. My first boss, Joan Blissert Burns, took a chance on a B student from a small liberal arts college and taught me accounting. In true fact, I got a C- in accounting in college. Those T's and everything, it just didn't work. And she taught me accounting and how to rip apart financial statements. Hall of Famer Glenn Reynolds taught me how to thoroughly analyze industries, companies, capital structures, and covenants. Great trading partners like Rick Reeder and Russ Brownback coached on relative valuation, market technicals, and sentiment drivers. And the late, great Jack Malvey inspired and instructed in so many ways, particularly around portfolio theory, the relevance of investment benchmarks, and how to engage clients strategically. My big bosses during the first 2 decades, Martha Dumont, who's here with us tonight, Bart McDade, and Ravi Mattu, instilled the importance of teamwork, developing others, incorporating empirical rigor, and emphasizing ethical behavior. At Barclays, Tommy Kalaris, Grant Kvalheim, and Bob Diamond gave me wings and a mandate to truly integrate a global sell-side research offering, from equity derivatives to subprime ABS and everything in between, employing qualitative as well as quantitative methods and carefully embracing public media, thanks Lisa, to amplify the message and build the brand. For the last 15 years, at BNP Paribas, I've benefited from the stability of a massive global institution, a strategic vision that emphasizes growth, innovation, sustainability, our clients, and conduct in markets, and the very strong support of leaders like Olivier Osti, John Gallo, and Joe Malley. And they've enabled me to help the bank connect and engage with some of our business's most dynamic CIOs, like JP Morgan's Bob Michael, Point72's Mo Grima, and GSAM's Assis Shah. I feel most fortunate for the support and guidance all of these industry leaders have provided to me over the last 4 decades. Now, my tenure in the sell side has come with both the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. Lehman's legendary annual Global Relative Value Roadshow frequently culminated with a poolside cabana party at the Beverly Hills Hilton. And I will admit that more than once I fell into the pool afterwards. During my very first week on the job at Barclays, I was dispatched for some urgent senior client development initiatives at the American Club in Kohler, Wisconsin, and then on to Pebble Beach, back to back. I kind of thought I'd died and gone to heaven. And when I came to BNP Paribas, I was very quickly coached that golf was out and tennis was in. If you haven't been to one of our conferences at Indian Wells or at the French Open, well, you just got to work on one of those invitations because these are spectacular events. But glamour aside, my success would have been very short-lived, like a New York football season. Without fantastic colleagues and team members, they were the ones that helped me meet unrelenting publishing deadlines, Rick Reader call deadlines, prepared roadshow decks and conference presentations, hunted for pricing anomalies, and chased down my cockamamie hunches. In a nutshell, dozens of colleagues over the years have contributed mightily to my professional success, and for that, I'm incredibly grateful. Just 2 worked with me very closely at all 3 firms, Robert McCady and Melody Vogelman, and I'm most pleased that Melody could join our table tonight. But as Melody frequently reminded me, I'd be nothing without an incredible family and the support of fantastic friends. 40 years on from graduation from the little college that could, my loyal band of Colby brothers and sisters has been kind of the most reliable source of grounding and camaraderie while distracting me from the daily perils of Wall Street. My wife Marion has been central to my good fortune for nearly 30 years, evaluating career moves, guiding on key speeches, and engaging with priority colleagues. She loves to tell a story about my MD promotion dinner in 1997 when we were enjoying a kind of quiet dinner when, much to our surprise, Dick Fold took his seat at our table at Windows on the World. She walked down the aisle with me in the fall of '98, soon after LTCM and Russia had failed, and Lehman had its first brush with bankruptcy. Consequently, her glorious Greek honeymoon was heavily interrupted by weeks of BlackBerry beeps and the daily sprint for one of the Financial Times delivered at Santorini. And she stood by me when we plunked down everything we had and then some on the New York City townhouse right before the dot-com crash. What could possibly go wrong, right? When your paycheck, your restricted stock, and your entire real estate portfolio are perfectly correlated during a crashing market. And if our European honeymoon wasn't torture enough, she came to a Lehman boondoggle in the UK just a couple months after our first child was born. We both needed a break, as parents all know. But in true Howard form, the best laid plans didn't quite work out, as she landed in the UK on 9/11, yes, that 9/11. And while I was most grateful not to be in harm's way on that tragic morning, we were separated from our baby for a week at a hugely stressful and uncertain time. Once again, Marion stood tall that week and for many weeks after, as all of us displaced Lehman employees kind of struggled to adapt. And with much help from the Bloomberg organization, we had to cobble together an action plan to keep the machinery running until a proper HQ was acquired. Now, like all of you in the business, our family's seen plenty of other highs and lows due to markets, blackouts, hurricanes, crashes, layoffs, and all forms of setback. But Marion, you've been a remarkable source of guidance, counsel, support, and wisdom throughout this journey, and I'm most grateful and want you to know that I could not have done it without you. So as a researcher in my core, I couldn't resist the urge to dig in a bit and look for commonalities in background and achievement or other markers among the 60 Hall of Famers who came before me, of which many are in the back there. To my pleasant surprise, one very common theme stood out. The vast majority of those who've been recognized for their lifetime achievements in fixed income have also been very generous and intentional in giving back during their careers. Of course, this comes in many forms and flavors, but it does resonate loud and clear. Think of Mike Bloomberg and his charitable foundation, Michael Milken and all he's done for prostate cancer and melanoma research, or my longtime colleague Rick Reeder with Emory University, the North Star Academy, and the Hospital for Special Surgery. Their dedication to these worthy causes is remarkable, but hardly unusual. In this room today I see Joyce Chang, who's been so dedicated to Trickle Up, Girls Inc., and so many other organizations. Barbara Novick, who served on the board of Cornell University and 100 Women in Finance, among other groups. And notably, you see the same attributes in tonight's other honorees. Greg has already mentioned how much time and effort he's dedicated to CHOP, the Children's Hospital, where he's now board chair. Charmine, who somehow finds time to be a leader for New York Presbyterian Hospital, the Trinity School, and research centers at both Harvard and Princeton. How can that be? And Greg Peters, who boggles the mind. He participates in leading forums around the world, such as the U.S. Treasury Borrowing Advisory Committee, Chatham House, and still makes it a top priority to raise awareness and resources for the New York youth education group, Link Education Partners. So there you have it, an important common theme across the elite of our industry is quite evident. This cohort of fixed income Hall of Famers have not only achieved greatness in their day jobs, but they have also prioritized paying it forward via passion projects, worthy institutions that help the next generation, those less fortunate, or the community at large. Now, reflecting more deeply on this, which is what an analyst does, I've come to appreciate a powerful circularity at play with those who have prioritized giving back during their professional careers. Now, could it be that their mental health has benefited, offsetting much of the stress in this line of work? Perhaps joining the right not-for-profit boards expands one's professional networks and perspectives, helping market participants grow their platforms and make better investment decisions. And maybe the real-world issues faced by universities, hospitals, laboratories, and foundations can serve as useful data points to help leaders direct their firms or invest smartly in others. This has certainly been my experience since my job was eliminated in 2009, an inflection point when I started to look beyond Wall Street. I've learned and benefited so much by volunteering my time and expertise for FIAZI, educational institutions, foundations, and other worthy organizations. My review of those in the Hall of Fame before me has been an affirming revelation and something that hopefully others in the room will benefit from in the future. Another reflection I'd like to share relates to mentoring and advocacy for deserving junior talent. A future star is a future star, whether or not they work for you or in your immediate area. We operate in a surprisingly small community, and time spent helping someone build their essential skills, navigate their career decisions, and achieve professional goals can also generate sizable circular benefits. In the room today are people I worked with closely 5, 10, 20, and 30 years ago, and they are now important clients and counterparties of my firm. I learned a great deal from them in the moment and in the years that have passed as well. Win-wins like this are not bountiful on Wall Street, so I encourage others to be intentional about finding suitable mentees. It is well worth the effort. I'd like to wrap up with one deep thought to ponder. People said, Mark, you're a strategist, you're an analyst, give us some red meat to chew on. So I'm going to give you a little red meat to chew on. This may not play out for another 1 to 3 years, not in the near term. So think about it with that frame of mind. So as we all know, longstanding norms are being challenged all around us. The headlines are too numerous to list. It causes my head to spin. The changes at the DOJ, at the Federal Reserve, election gerrymandering, international trade and diplomacy uprooted, denial of science, suppression of journalists. These are rather dramatic changes when you take them in aggregate. And they are not unique to the U.S. or due to just one administration. So what might be some of the consequences of this confluence over the next 2 to 3 years? And importantly, how might these important changes intersect with some other big changes afoot? AI's advances, the steady marches of demographic change, voter populism, climate change, and rising developed market debt burdens. These last 5 factors appear to be driven by the laws of physics for the foreseeable future. These bodies in motion are going to stay in motion. And if they stay in motion, I could foresee a collision of sorts on the horizon, especially if economic conditions falter. And what really fascinates me when I think about that scenario and that potential collision is that first principles point to contract law as the bedrock of fixed income. But recently, we've observed a notable rise in lender-on-lender conflict. Some even call it violence. We've also observed late cycle evidence of corporate fraud and related malfeasance. This has been most common in leveraged finance, but is creeping into the investment grade space. And on Bloomberg today, you may have seen there was a long article on fast moves taken to strip the Palisades Center Mall in Nyack out from under CMBS bondholders. And a new Federal Reserve Board member has hinted at encouraging U.S. government bondholders to extend their maturities. So I invite bond market pros in the room to pay attention to changing norms with regard to the rule of law and the evolving technology and techniques that may allow parties with disparate interests to advance unconventional agendas, potentially to the detriment of creditors. Now, there's a silver lining in this Debbie Downer I just shared, and that is that I'm bullish on my profession, as I believe it will be a robust environment for smart sovereign credit, structured finance analysts and PMs, especially those with legal skills. Now, in conclusion, I've tried to convey a little more than what I did and what I've learned over nearly 40 years in markets. My words have been intended to showcase the people that supported and enabled me and about the legacy I hope to leave. I'm most grateful to them. Wall Street's tough. It can be brutal in markets and banking, but at its core, it has been and remains a people business. So I'll offer 5 lessons learned from my experience. First, I'm going to quote the great Derek Jeter from his Hall of Fame speech. I cheated. This is a game that requires sacrifice, dedication, discipline, and focus. Number 2, follow what excites and incents you. In my case, that was predicting security in market prices and working closely with smart clients. Number 3, pick your people and employers with intention. Number 4, invest in those who share your values and have great potential. And 5th, leverage your skills, perspectives, and network to support worthy organizations and preparing the next generation to adapt to whatever comes their way. Mentoring can pay big professional and personal dividends. I and many others have found this helps one to make a positive impact that endures. Thank you very much. That wasn't vodka, don't worry.
It's okay if it was.
We good? Thank you, sir.